You are listening to Financial Fitness Friday. Rich Roberts. Oh, I like that, Rich Roberts.
Hey, what's going
Lance,
on here?
I'm taking your name.
Does that mean he's going to be Lance Rosso?
Mm-hmm.
It's getting weird.
Does that mean I get to marry his wife? Okay, that's not the story for another. And with Danny Ratliff.
Boy, that took a left turn.
That sure did. With me, everything takes a left turn. So, it's funny. One of the most popular growing employer benefits is companies that are providing student loan aid to their employees. In other words, if you pay a certain amount of dollars, we will match it. And that is above when you look at millennials and Gen Z as far as what they want. Okay, 401k is like at the bottom of the list. Top of the list is help with student loan debt. And student loan debt obviously is 2/3 of seniors at four-year colleges owe roughly $29,000 in student loan debt. That's the average, right? Half of undergrads in for-profit colleges in 2004 defaulted 12 years later, okay? The majority of loans now are created by the federal government, and rates are anywhere from 5 to well over 7%. The student loan debt issue is a problem. However, the biggest problem is why. And I have a lot of professor friends, and they cannot answer this for me because they say it's justified, and I don't see it. Why are tuition costs going up 2 to 4 times the rate of inflation? What is the actual purpose of that? Why? I understand it's supply and demand, but there's something that has to be done from the root of it, as well as good rules that you need to follow when it comes to student loan debt.
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple reasons that surround that specific question, right? I mean, student loan for you, student loan for me. I mean, they're handing them out like they're handing out credit cards on college campuses for
they
pizzas,
used to do
right?
That. Remember that? Yep.
Yeah. And so I think that's one of the bigger aspects. You have the supply and demand, and and I think a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to focus on school, where there's not as big of an emphasis on working. I got into it with some friends the other day. In fact, they were listening to the show with Lance and I earlier in the week, and we talked a little bit about this. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, how do you expect people to actually go to school and work and be able to actually afford it? And there's actually I can understand that. With the cost of college and what people are making in remedial jobs, which is what you're typically going to work while you're in school.
That's right.
It is very difficult to actually pay for college these days. So there's usually some type of help associated with it. Or it takes you a little bit longer to get actually out of school and into the workforce. You do it in bite-sized chunks.
You might have to.
But step foot on any of these campuses, and I mean, they're state of the art. And I'm talking about, and they're building, there's cranes on any one of these campuses here in Texas. I mean, it's huge. And so I think a lot of the money is being put to use in some areas for growth. But at what point do we see this slow down? Where does this end?
I don't know. I mean, as trade schools become more popular, that's an issue. Or you're going to just totally or completely price people out of the market. But one of the things you want to do, and Danny, you're alluding to this, you've got to avoid certain traps up front when it comes to debt and take the emotion out of it. You got to look at a college education like a return on investment. So the degree you get, the major, what can you expect to earn, okay? How much about the cost of college do I need to borrow? For example, are you going to be in a low-level or mid-career kind of thing? Art history, theater, graphic design. You're not going to cut it if you're taking $50,000 to $75,000 in debt. You've got to be realistic and create rules. For example, at RIA, our rule is no more than 1 year's worth of student loan debt, no matter what. And you have to look at, and we have tools for this now here at RIA that can help you understand is if you want a degree in a particular computer science, data science, whatever it is, we can help you look at what schools are going to be the best return on investment. Interesting, as I look through some of the research, and I remember this as a kid, I wanted to go to the top school because I had no idea why. Yep. I just said, I got to go to like the best school, even though there would have been another school at a more cost-effective rate that would have given me the same education for the same salary. But it just was an ego thing and important. And you've got to get your kids to get the ego out of it. And my daughter did this. I wrote about it in my book. I know Danny's supportive of this. But get your basics at the community college first. I cannot tell you. Haley went to Lone Star, and I cannot tell you how inexpensive that education was. And she got all her basics and got into better school. There's no reason not to. It's very cost effective. She loved the school. The professors were top notch. She goes, Dad, this is like the best kept secret
Yeah.
out there. But I wish I would have had that sense at her age. I didn't. So,
And you can also pick up some of those hours in high school if you get in the right track.
Yeah,
that's absolutely
that's
right.
such a
So,
neat
so you
tool to
see,
be able to
you
utilize.
need a game plan, right?
That game plan needs to be established
Way-
by your freshman year of high school.
Exactly. And you have to start managing your expectations. We're becoming, I think, we're growing as far as our firm with college planning and helping people look at ROI, return on investment. We're going to have workshops coming up in the second part of the year on 6 ways to cut costs in college for college costs. We're going to help you understand this process, but you've got to take the emotion and avoid the trap in front. The next thing is if you do have student loans, you got to look at loan consolidation. It's worth it. SoFi is the leading student loan refinancer. You'll be able to cut your rate in half, Danny.
So that's
Do
amazing.
consolidation, right? So you could have variable rates, fixed rates. You want to meet with somebody like a financial advisor or partner to help you understand what to do, because maybe a fixed rate may not be the right thing to do. You will have credit scores, debt to interest ratios, your current career, cash flow is all going to go into the mix. But these digital providers have low overhead costs, so lower rates for you. Not only that, the federal government has at studentaid.ed.gov, you can change your repayment plan at any time. So when you come out, your standard repayment plan is 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? But I can go in there and allow to extend payments over 25 years. I can graduate to programs that are lower payments at first, then they increase every 2 years. Then there are pay-as-you-earn plans or income plans where payments are set at 10% of discretionary income and recalculated each year, and your outstanding balance might be complete after 20 years. The problem is if you have an amount of loan that is forgiven, and this happened to a client of mine recently, didn't realize it, because he's had his child going through this program. And I said, well, you realize that there's going to be an amount of loan here for your son, even though he's been paying off for 20 years, that I think it's like $15,000 or so that a part of the loan's going to be forgiven. I go, you don't realize, you better tell him that's going to be income. He goes, what? Yeah, because whatever amount of loan that's forfeited,
You have to realize that.
you have to realize that even though you're not receiving income, you are in a way, it's imputed, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. Now, if you're in public service, President Obama created the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So that gives you loan forgiveness after 120 months. Government worker, law enforcement, public education. It's rather broad as far as how public service is defined. Now, I'm going to tell you have to work this out closely with your loan servicer. You know Michael Lewis, who wrote all these great books
Yep.
about the financial crisis, right? Movies and all that. He's got a great podcast.
Moneyball. And,
Yeah, right. But he has a podcast that talks about how one woman went through this PSLF program, and her loan servicer didn't want her to go through it. In other words, they kept giving her different rules, different regs, because it's 120 months. It's a specific track you need to be on. Telling her she's on track, then she's not, because I will tell you, a lot of these loan servicers, they don't want you to have loan forgiveness.
Oh,
They make
yeah.
these are publicly traded companies. They make a lot of money off of you keeping that loan. So there's a new bill that's being introduced about this public service loan forgiveness program by Kristen Hill-Gillibrand and Tim Kaine that will overhaul the program to make it better. But that is a program that is out there. But I think the most important thing, Danny, is you have to really look at upfront. Take the emotion out of it. Have a game plan up front. Look at the best colleges for return on investment for the actual, what you want to do when you get out.
Yeah, you mentioned the community college aspect, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think that it's what, a quarter of the cost of actually going to a 4-year university. I mean, it is substantially
I want to
less.
say for Haley, it was maybe $4,000 to $5,000 for the year.
Yeah, that's remarkable. And if you look
Yeah.
at the average cost of a 4-year college right now, you're going to spend $25,000.
So you're not going to graduate from that college ultimately.
Yeah.
Plus, she liked the fact what she did is she lived closer to home. She didn't have to live on campus, right? She was able to work close by. and make some money at the same time. Again, like you said earlier, you have to get creative here because college costs aren't going down, which means student loan debt's going to go higher. And I would stick to that RIA rule of, hey, we are going to only take on 1 year's worth of student loan debt. Not only that is, look how kids are spending the money. Say you do get student loans. You want to sit down with somebody objective to see how you're spending it. It's not pizzas and parties. Because I think when kids get this windfall, right? I took out 1 year's worth of student loan debt in college, right? 1 year. And I think I spent 20% of it on school stuff with all the school names on it. Like I was a freak, right? I had every T-shirt, every sweatshirt. I had the pens. I had the hat.
Woo-hoo, I'm here.
Right. I mean, I was so excited to go to college. It was like the first one in my family, right? So I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa, how much should I just spend on all this stuff, right? So it would have been helpful even for me. I just wrote it out and then realized it and said, no, I got to stop.
Well, when I was in school, it seemed like everybody got their checks around spring break. And so everybody's going to Padre or I'm going to Panama City Beach. Yeah.
Not little Danny.
No, sir.
Little Danny at 18 was 45.
Nah.
I'm going to spend all my money at school. No, you've always had a good level head.
I've always had fun. I think I got a good balance.
That too. You have fun. That's funny. Okay, so listen, you are listening to Financial Fitness Friday, the Lance Roberts Show. Rich Rosso and the very serious Danny Ratliff. We'll be right back with more topics that you will find very intriguing.
Lance Roberts' blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today on LanceRobertsShow.com.